Hey, what's up everyone? It's Mike Mangialardi here from Coding Artist, and in today's video I wanted to make a sketch logo. And the reason I want to do this as a tutorial and not as a speed art video, one is because I think this is a really cool logo, and two, I think it's a good example of an image that might look complex to make with CSS at first glance, but it really forces you to break it down into simple shapes. And when you break it down into simple shapes, that really isn't as difficult as it might seem. So what we're going to do is we're going to first get our color palette. And then we're going to break this down together into shapes. And then once we know what shapes we'll need, we can write our HTML classes, and then we can get to the styling of this image. So first things first, I mentioned that we are going to get the color palette for this. So there's actually a really cool tool that we could use to do this. So I'm going to be using a tool called coolors.co, which I have linked in the description. And what we can do is we can go to their app and you just click on generate. And what it normally does, it just brings up a color palette, and you can hit the spacebar to kind of, look through some other color palettes really quickly. What we can also do with this is we can click this camera icon and we can paste in an address of an image, and it will automatically pull some of its colors. So let's right click the sketch logo and we'll click copy image address. And then back in Coolors, we're going to paste this in and hit OK. And it loads. And now this isn't perfect, so let's make sure we have all the colors we want. So we have this yellow, and then we're going to have this white yellowish color. We want this orange color, and we're going to want this color right here. And we're also going to want our purple background. So that looks like everything we need. Now the next thing we'll do is let's break this down into basic shapes. So as an exercise, I really recommend that you pause this video and try to break down the sketch logo into its basic shapes that we'll need. Now go ahead and pause it and we'll resume when you're ready. So if you did try to break down these images into its basic shapes, let's go ahead and see how I kind of visualized it. And there might not be one answer for this. But what I visualized is the most basic shape we'll need is first we have this large triangle on the bottom that is this orange color. The reason I think this is easier, because you might think, okay, we have one triangle like this, and we have another triangle like this, but those types of triangles are harder to make, so we want to avoid that if all possible. So really all this is just one large orange triangle on the bottom. And then on the top, we have another smaller yellow triangle. And both of these are pointing down. And they're going to take about 50% or maybe 60% of this image. Then on the top, our main triangle is going to be this white yellowish one that we have right here. Then we have two triangles right here. And then we have two other right triangles right here on each edge. And so like this, we could say, okay, there's just one large bottom triangle and then just another triangle stacked on top. If we look at this, we probably could make this shape, but it might just be easier to break our top down into all of its triangles, since, they're pretty normal looking triangles, unlike, this outer orange one if we try to break it down like that. Anyways, now that we have our shapes in mind, let's go ahead to our HTML. So I'm going to be using the preprocessor pug. So basically, instead of writing a class, like div class equal and whatever, you can just quite easily just do dot and then your class. So because we're just doing a basic pure CSS image, this is going to be a lot easier and faster. So what are the shapes we're going to need? Well, first we're going to need a container for our image, which we'll call box. Then we'll need our large bottom diamond. So I'm going to call it large bottom diamond. Large bottom triangle. Then we'll have our medium bottom triangle. So that takes care of the bottom. Now we'll have our large top triangle. And that is this white triangle right here. And then we're going to have a medium top triangle left. And we're going to do a medium top triangle right. And these triangles are referencing these kind of lighter yellow ones right here. And then we want our right triangles on the left side and the right side. So I'm going to call it right triangle, right top triangle, left, right, top triangle, right. Alright, so we have all the shapes that we need for our image. Now let's go ahead, and the first thing we could do is let's define all of our hex code colors as variables, and that will just be easy to kind of organize and see what colors we're going to be using, and then we could use those variables repeatedly instead of having to go each time and find the hex code for the color we want and paste them in multiple places. So we could do this because we're using the CSS preprocessor SCSS, which in CodePen you can easily go ahead on your CSS settings and click on SCSS. So to do a variable, we'll do $, and then we're going to do the name of the color, and then we'll put the hex code. So let's do our first one, which is Sunglow. And we paste in the hex code. Next, we can do Peach. And then we'll have Spanish Orange. It's always kind of funny because Coolers is the one that kind of generates the name, so it's just kind of funny what they name some of these colors. But Chrome Yellow is our next one. So Chrome Yellow. And let's see, then we have Middle Red Purple. Middle Red Purple. Interesting. Middle Red Purple. Alright, so the first thing we will do is let's just set the background of our entire image. So for our body, we'll do middle red purple, like that. Alright, so next we'll do the container for our logo, which is going to be our box. And so we'll do position relative. And we want this in the middle, so we'll do display block, margin, auto. And that's a quick way to center something that is positioned relative. And then we could do margin top, 8%. And let's do a border, which we'll get rid of later, just so we can see what our box looks like. And I also need to specify the height of 400 pixels and the width of 600 pixels. Alright, so there's going to be the container for our logo. Now let's go ahead and write our first class, which is going to be large bottom triangle. And this is going to be positioned absolute. And let's do a width of 60%. We'll do left 100 minus 60 divided by 2. So 20%, which will center it. Let's do a bottom of 5%. And let's do a height of 60%. Now for our background, it is going to be Spanish yellow, Spanish orange. And the last thing we'll need is we'll need to transform this from a rectangle into a triangle. So I'm going to use this tool called Clippy. And this does not work in Firefox, but for practice, you can just go ahead and not worry about it and use it in Chrome. So here we have the triangle pointing down. I'm going to copy this clip path value, and I'll paste it in. And now we have our triangle. So I'm going to make this a little less tall, so let's do 55%, and that looks about right. So next thing we'll do is our medium bottom triangle. And we actually want to position this not based off our box, but we can base it off of this triangle. So I'm going to indent that. And now we could do medium bottom triangle, position absolute. So we're going to use positions that are percentages, and those are going to be based off of this orange triangle because medium bottom triangle is nested. And also our size percentages are going to be based off of large bottom triangle, so this orange triangle right here, because again, medium bottom triangle is nested underneath it. All right, so let's do a height of 100%. And let's do a width of 60%. And we use left to center it, so let's do 100 minus our width divided by 2. So 100 minus 60 divided by 2 gives us 20%. And the background for this is going to be sun glow. And this is also a triangle that's going to be pointing down, so I'm going to copy this clip path value. And there we go. We see we have the bottom of the triangle like we want, and that looks about right. Let me make sure this is the right color. We don't want sun glow, actually, we want chrome yellow. So let me rename this. Chrome yellow. All right, there, now that looks right. All right, so the bottom of our logo is complete. Now let's go to large top triangle. So large top triangle is also going to be position absolute. And we want to have a height, let's just say 30%. Or let's see, yeah, 30% is about right. We'll play around with it later. Our width is going to be what would be from this edge to this edge. So this yellow triangle right here was 60%, but that was based off of the large orange triangle, which is 55%. So I actually want to change this. So let's make this large bottom triangle a width of 50% instead of 60%. And then that means we'll have to change the left to 25%. And so that means because this outer triangle, this orange one is 50%, and this yellow triangle is 60%, then that means our top triangle is going to be half of this 60%. So we do width of 30%, and we'll do background peach. And by the way, if that was confusing, a lot of times I just do trial and error to get it to fit. But let's make it go over to the center. So we do 100 minus 30 divided by 2, which is 35%. And our top, let's do 16%. That's a little too high, so let's do 10%. And that looks about right. Now let's transform this into a triangle. And this triangle is going to be a triangle that's pointing towards the top. So let's go ahead and adjust this. And then go until it hits 50%. So in green it says 50%. That's why I know it's centered. And so I can copy this and paste it in. All right, there we have our triangle. Now there's a little bit of a gap, and maybe that doesn't bother you, but it kind of bothers me. So I'm going to do a slight push down, so 0.1%, and that will get rid of that. All right, cool. So we have everything except for these 4 triangles on the top. So let's go ahead and add those. Now I'm going to add these right triangles first because I think it'll be a bit easier, and then it's going to be kind of fun. It'll be like Tetris trying to position this, right in the middle right here. Anyways, let's go ahead and add the right top triangle left and right top triangle right. So let me paste this class in here, and we'll do position absolute, and we want a right triangle. So let's do that. That's right. Yep, we want a triangle just like that. So I'll paste that in there, and then our background is going to be sun glow. Or no. Yeah. Wait. No, that's chrome yellow. Chrome yellow, guys. So I changed this to chrome yellow, and we want a height of 100%, and we want a width of 15%. We want a height of 30%, so I was way off. And then we want a top of 10.1%. And let's move this over to the left, which is going to be, I'm just going to do trial and error. So that's about right, but now it's too wide, so let's do 10. And then move it back over. So that, give or take, that's about right. So let's do the same thing for our triangle right. And now we'll just change our left to right. And we want the right triangle facing the opposite way. So I'm just going to move this over like that and paste it in a new clip path. Like so. Alright, so there our logo is just about done. So let's do position absolute, and next let's get the clip path. So our triangle is going to look something like this. So let me copy this clip path. And then this is going to be a background of sun glow. And then we'll do width of 10%, height of 30%. Now we need to adjust our top and our left. So let's do top of 10.1%. And now let's move over to the left. So let me try 25%. And it needs to be moved over a little bit more. And that's about right. However, it should be a bit wider. So we do 15%, and that looks just about right. And I'm going to do 15.1% to get rid of that gap. And that's about right. So now we could do the same thing for our medium top triangle right. I'll paste this in, change the left to right. Also rename this to right. And then I just want the opposite side for the triangle. So I do that. Copy this. And I'll replace the clip path like so. And now we have our sketch logo that is finally complete. So everyone, that is it. We have created our logo. The last thing I'll do is I'm going to get rid of this border. And we have just our diamond. So guys, that is it. I hope that was a fun tutorial. As I hope you learned, it's really just about looking at an image, breaking it down into its most basic shapes, and just creating those shapes with CSS and putting them together. And then just using cool colors, which you can easily do with our tool, coolors.co. Anyways, thanks so much again for checking out this video. If you have not already, you can join our email challenge called Daily CSS Images. For 50 weekdays, you'll get a drawing prompt to make a pure CSS image, and it's a great way to practice CSS, learn valuable design skills, and be part of a bigger community. So if you want to check that out, the link is also in the description. We'll see you next time. Thanks.